Hello. Thanks for joining us. This is the 90-Day Website Mastery Podcast. We are absolutely grateful that you are here with us today. This is the perfect companion to our 90-Day Website Mastery Program and our recently published book, Web Proud. It's our 54th episode. I'm here with my co-host, Pascal Fintoni. Good morning, Pascal.
Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us live or on replay. It's been a while. We've been busy. We've been out and about, delivering actually our first Web Proud in-person masterclass in Leeds as well. I still have very fond memory of the event and the lovely people in the room as well. And in fact, in fairness, Jonny, today's episode is entirely inspired by the many conversations we had about websites, AI overviews, and the new SEO. So looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, for sure. It's AI and SEO in 2026. Are you sharing too much? And Google's new rules explained. Of course, we have 4 segments in all of our episodes. We have the You Ask, We Answer, where you've submitted a question from our community, and we explore that. We've got the website stories, where we found perhaps an article or a video, and we dissect it and see what we can learn from it. We've got the website engine room, where we'll share a piece of tech or an app to help you as a website manager or website content creator feel proud of your website. And of course, the website call to action. Every piece of content has to have a call to action. So it's the one change or adjustment that you could be making right now to your website. Yeah, it was the workshop that we were doing was all about Notebook LM, wasn't it? And well, that's just yet another tool that we absolutely love. Yeah, it was. You enjoyed delivering that workshop, Pascal?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think there was another reason. One was rather symbolically almost 10 years to the day when we first met in Leeds. So there was a bit of a anniversary celebration of you and I, Jonny, meeting 10 years prior to it was actually called a mastermind day called How to Get More Inquiries from Your Website. So we're going back to 2016, which is quite incredible. And then our journey leading to being back at the lovely venue called The Studio in Leeds to talk about Notebook LM and website, how to use the assistant to critique your website, give you some recommendations, and actually to be also a creative thinking and content creation partner. 6 hours of kind of hard-hitting tactics, and it was delightful to really have all that time.
It was the light bulb moments that I saw across every table when they started seeing some of the output that they were getting and how relatable it was to their audience and their business. It was a great day. Okay, let's start with our first segment. You ask, we answer.
Now, this is the question that we'll ask a couple of times, actually, during our time together in Leeds at the Notebook LM for Website Masterclass. So I'm going to paraphrase for you, Jonny. I use AI the way you showed me to critique my website. Should I worry about sharing my website tactics with the large language models and my competitors? What say you, Jonny Ross?
Well, as a business owner, I think we do have this automatic default that we don't want our competitors to know anything. And, we're really protective. And I think that our default is actually just a bit too, we need to sort of lower our default, I think, and I think we go to it far too often. I think there's certain things that are really intellectual property of a business and no question. But I think we assume that everything is, and the tiniest bit of detail, if it got out there, we're going to be, our business will be screwed. And I just don't think it's like that whatsoever. So I think the first thing is the way we think about it is that we just need to change our thinking here, because you've got to weigh up the pros and cons. And actually, what really is going to change if some kind of machine or someone saw that. However, also there's privacy settings. So, you can choose the right privacy settings. You can go for paid plans, and so I think it's about having a look at your going into the settings and making sure that you're ticking the right boxes, making sure that if you've got the option of a free plan or a paid plan, well, you don't get a free lunch, and a free plan, basically you are giving your data, whereas on a paid plan there is lowering the risk. Pascal, there's also cloud LLMs. You've got a bit more experience with that. So is it Copilot that you were talking about that you'd
Yeah,
take into it?
Thank you, Jonny. I've done a lot of work, particularly in public sector, where there's all different levels of safety and security with data and more. But I think I would agree with you, which is what is it that people will find out that is truly going to give you a disadvantage and then an advantage? And I think if you use a logic, Jonny, what is the likelihood of a competitor having the time and inclination to ask an LLM, or by the way, tell me more about Jonny and these kind of practices on AI? I just don't think it's going to happen. Now, but I would agree with the word tactic, though. So, if you go from a critique that is using essentially that public knowledge out there, all that amazing content produced by others like Jonny and Pascal, and you get to the point where you want to then act on the critique, yeah, maybe actually would be good practice, leading to a future where the AI platforms are perhaps used more to move away from using these insights and moving into a platform like Notebook LM, which give you almost like a ring-fenced environment with information, or to use into the Microsoft 365 version of Copilot and all the different sectors as well. So I have some sympathy with the idea of, if I'm going to get tactical and come up with a campaign that is unique to me, maybe actually pure psychology, I'd rather work in a private room. And I would say, yeah, by all means, use Notebook LM and Copilot Microsoft 365. But it remains, though, that the likelihood of you having something so unique that you're going to literally make Claude or cover better, and for your competitors to actually say, you know what, let me spend my precious time in asking what Jonny's been up to on AI. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I would agree, lower the bar, because otherwise you're going to move into hesitation as opposed to action, and this is really important to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's three threads here. There's the thing of the mindset. So really, really challenging the mindset on whether you can share something or not. I think that's the first thing. Second thing is check all your settings, of course, and it's very easy to make sure that you are ticking the right boxes, and then use tools that actually are private and are in private places. And of course, I guess the fourth bonus one is don't share things that actually you shouldn't be sharing. So client data, financial data, etc., etc. And just be cautious about the things that you should be cautious about. That's the point, isn't it? Be cautious about the things you should be cautious about, and don't worry about the things you actually don't need to worry about. That's what I'd say.
The biggest worry, Jonny, would be that actually the manner in which you are inviting your assistant to help you it gives you superficial recommendations and superficial critique. So we worked very, very hard, didn't we, with the Notebook LM4 website masterclass to give people advanced AI briefings. Yeah. Because by default now, and ChatGPT, I think, is the first one to be guilty of that. By default now, the platform are giving very superficial, simplistic, populist answers, as opposed to kind of more thought-provoking, kind of motivating answers. So I think, to me, that's more the real problem, which is that you're going to get plain kind of pedestrian answers, and you're not going to get really the right kind of level of support. That would be my major concern.
Yeah, the more context, the better the output.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. Thanks for bringing that, Pascal. And hopefully that removes a block for some people to start getting a bit more help towards how they could improve their website. Let's move to our next segment, which is website stories.
Now, in the green room earlier, Jonny, we're talking about how, one-to-one kind of mentoring consultancy work, we get more and more questions about AI overviews. They're becoming the kind of the new internet. And then the question is always, how do I get myself listed in the AI overviews? Or how can I improve what the AI overviews say about me? So I still use to this day this technique called the Google CV, where I ask people to Google themselves as individuals or businesses and literally print as a PDF, the page of results, and then almost track the evolution of their search results and linking that to actions. As a result of which, I guess, the YouTube algorithm have done their bit, because I was suggested a video by Neil Patel. Now, if memory serves, you and I had a bit of a, there's a link here between ourselves and Neil Patel.
There sure is. We obviously talk about different apps in the website engine room in our podcast. We were featuring Answer the Public, and Neil Patel's social team clearly picked up on it and cut down one of our podcasts and shared it onto their platform of us talking about Answer the Public. So that was very nice of them, and well deserved as well on both sides, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Neil Patel and the team. We've been, big fans and big supporters of the content. So the video on YouTube with Neil Patel, the title goes as follows: Google's AI mode changed SEO forever, and here are the 5 new rules. And I think for me, it's kind of interesting that we should revisit that. We did a special, obviously, episode on the whole AI, SEO, GEO, and so on. But I think sometimes it's nice to hear it repeated from a different perspective. And what is nice about Neil Patel's work is this is based on data, which is always his favored kind of approach. And what he's done, he has essentially a core message, one central message, but he's looked at 5 different ways to argue the case, if you like, for a reset of the way we think about it. So please, everybody, watch the video. It's only 9 minutes and it's great. It's got 5 chapters. It's got kind of data to back up the kind of the recommendations. But in terms of the core message, it's this idea of moving from a traffic economy or a traffic centered mindset of this is how I'm going to get more success and grow my business, moving from traffic to citation. And that has to be the core message. And kind of Neil is explaining is that as more and more AI overviews come to the fore, it is only natural to ask the question, what have you done to be credible enough and trustworthy enough for the AI machinery to select you and not your competitor? And essentially the central question is, what have you done for the past few years, the past few months and the past few weeks to build your authority using citations? That is to say, your business, your as an individual, and your expertise is being cited on other platforms. And what have you done by extension in terms of your guest contribution as an activity? So he moves through 5 key elements. I love the titles. There's one called the complexity moat. This idea of putting together a defense, a barrier around your content strategy, because you're going to choose to go for complex and long questions, if you will. So we're saying is using data. If a customer is putting a short query, the likelihood of the AI overview, including sources, is in the realms of 23%. So otherwise, you just say, here the answer, and stay on Google or stay on Bing or whatever. If, however, the user is using 6, 7 plus words, the likelihood of having a citation, let's say your business, your blog, your kind of podcast and so on, goes up to 77% of chance of the likelihood of having a source being mentioned. So the question Neil is asking us is, what have you done to be answering more specific, more nuanced, complex questions, as opposed to going for the keyword research, 3 words, therefore that's what I use, So that's kind of interesting. He kind of reinforces the message about the zero-click reality, which I think have mentioned many a time. So asking, what are you doing as an entity? What are you doing as marketing pros to educate your colleagues that we can no longer use clicks and traffic figures to measure, the success of our campaigns? We need to look at trust. We need to look at citations and that kind of things. Then he has a lovely, lovely term he calls the authority tax. Authority tax. And what he's saying is that the old SEO is still working. You must crack on with that. But that's your baseline. That's the price of entry. And then from there, you have to build on that. So, what are you doing? And he gives 4 key actions there. I'm going to mention them very quickly. Are you posting on all the platforms where your audience lives, or just your website? Are you getting mentioned on publications that are already cited by AI? Have you done your research? Your advice from the get-go, Jonny, are you building schema markups as part of your website management? And of course, are you going for depth, not coverage? So that to me is kind of interesting. And then this final point, one that we covered during our special episode: search everywhere. It's not just Google. People can search on social networks. They can search on forums. They can search in the App Store. They can search everywhere. So searching is almost going to become the, I would say, the new way of thinking about it. It's not going to be about Googling it. It's going to be about searching it and opening your mind to possibilities. But I'm going to close on this by saying, listen, everyone, if you've been following Jonny and I for the last 10 years and more, we've been saying this for many years now. We talked about experience, we talked about expertise, we talked about authority and trustworthiness, the infamous EEAT.
Yeah. A great summary, really solid advice there.
Mhm.
I'm really glad you've highlighted this video, to be perfectly honest. It does get summed up by EEAT, Google's measure of whether content is worthy or not. And the beauty is, I've said this in workshops, you could go to your favorite AI tool and you could, copy some content into that AI tool and say, look, how's the EEAT on this? How could I improve my EEAT? And whether you understand what that means or not, within a few seconds you'll start understanding what it does mean by using a tool. But yeah, I love the recommendations. I like the idea of building a complexity moat around your content. Great idea. So I typically would talk about keyword clusters. So you have a cluster, and then you create lots of clusters of content around that. You need to become the expert in that. And no longer just going for a short keyword by any means. It's about being dominating in a topic and really demonstrating your skills in that topic by being really helpful, really resourceful, really knowledgeable, showing expertise, showing authenticity within that topic, and really sort of going quite deep into it. Of the old SEO is still really important, making sure that you've got the content marked up using schema, making sure that you're posting not just on your website but where your audience lives. I love that as well. And lastly, you talked about the shift that it's not all about just Google. It could be anywhere. They could be searching in Spotify. It could be anywhere. And I've sort of made this apology now that whenever I say the word Google, I pretty much mean any search engine, from eBay to Vinted to Spotify to Claude. It could be absolutely anywhere. So I love that. Really, really solid tips. A great one for this segment. Thank you, Pascal.
My pleasure. And thanks again to the team at Neil Patel for the shout out as well.
Whilst we've been on, Simon Raybold was asking about, we've talking about AI reviews of websites. Can we do, you missed it and you just wanted to point it back. I think we were probably referencing using it in Notebook LM and getting AI to review your website, being a critique for your website. So it's all about sort of taking your website URL and saying, look, acting as a website manager, what are the 3 things that I could do better on this website to get better engagement, etc. Of course, we shared some more advanced prompts, but just that's as a sort of
well, in fact, sorry to jump in, Jonny. Simon being such a good friend of the show, I will email you, Simon, the prompts we use on the day.
So there we go. Well, there we go. And that is why it's worth mentioning and commenting whilst we are live on our show. Although if you're listening on the replay, you're very welcome. We love you that you're being here, and thank you for joining us, whatever time of day or whatever day of week it is for you. We are glad we are with you right now. Let's move on to our third segment, shall we? The website engine room.
Now, in this part of the show, Jonny and I love to share with you some new discoveries that can make life easier as a website manager and content creator. So, Jonny, what is your recent discovery?
So this is working with many Shopify websites, e-commerce websites, and I'm seeing more and more subscription-based products. Nothing new, sort of the Hello Freshes of the world got us going on this type of thing, but it's a very clever way of getting loyalty and getting security on sort of regular income. So if you can find a product that becomes a subscription, then even better. The point being is that there's an add-on for Shopify called loopwork.co. Loopwork.co is the website address. It's just called Loopwork, and it's brilliant at creating unique subscriber journeys. The beauty of it is that it keeps subscribers engaged. It's very, very clever at if someone wants to cancel a subscription, it is so clever at challenging them and really trying to keep them and trying to what we would call squeeze them into staying. So whether that be offering some kind of discount throughout the process, it's really clear. It's not just like a cancel and then it stops. It's like, are you sure you want to cancel? What about if we offer you this? What about if we do this? And it's like that thing to sort of really keep your subscribers subscribing to your product. So yeah, if you've got a Shopify website, you've got products that can turn into subscriptions, or even you've got subscriptions right now, have a look at Loopwork. I think it's got some really clever things inside it, and all I've seen is it increases revenue and the bottom line.
And the example they share on the platform, because I had a quick glance, is obviously product based. But I reckon the logic will work for any form of subscription. It could be a newsletter, it could be part of a community, it could be anything, And I think it's back to this idea of there's so much to do and think about for all of us that to get a bit of support from experts like Loopwork, I think it is excellent. So I suppose, I did share with you that it's been fascinating for me to spend more time recently to talk with my clients on website plus AI overviews. And as a result of which, what I've discovered is that some of us have perhaps been a bit negligent with the search engine optimization principles, because this is a foundation. And as I was reminding people about the key principles, I was then reminded of the tools that for a while I used to use all the time, Jonny. And it's going to come back and go, do you know what? Maybe almost like I've got a crate full of old cameras and all sorts that I don't use anymore. But I'm a hoarder. I can't, much to my wife's despair, I can't get rid of anything. So I was thinking, maybe I should come back and dust off literally the tools that were so important to us. So I'm going to take you back in time, I'm guessing, Jonny, to a platform called Moz, M-O-Z. And what we used to do, so we used to do the exercise or the Google CV. So we used to say to people, Google yourself, you as an individual, you as a business, print as a PDF the page, and then go back once a quarter and look at the evolution of your search results. But within that, what you can also do as a baseline is to understand actually how well regarded you are from an authority point of view. And Moz, for many, many years, and still to this day, are still offering free of charge the domain authority checker. And what this will allow you to do, you just have to copy and paste your website address, and will give you a score, which is a barometer. It's not an exact score. It's not like, anything, but it gives you a sense of, where you are today, the score out of 100. So to give you an example, the BBC, I think, scores 95 out of 100. So nobody's got 100. But, where are you, against maybe competitors? What are your best performing pages? What are your best performing keywords? And can you just have an understanding of your current position today? Then almost ignore it. Get on with the work that we've mentioned many a time. And then maybe 3 months later, check it again. And ideally, what we should see is that your domain score has gone up a few points. And some of the pages are performing a bit better. So you could see evidence of your work. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up, Jonny, is because we're going to see less and less evidence of clicks. We're going to see less and less evidence of traffic, and all this kind of very reassuring triggers, a bit like social media. We don't get as many likes, comments, and shares, but it's kind of working still. We have to have faith in that. So I think that'd be a lovely way to maybe go back to older SEO tools, but actually they are so very powerful.
Yeah, it's a great way to have a really quick guide on how you're performing. And by the way, if you do put your website in there and you see a really low score, I'd suggest that the average website out there, if there is such a thing, is probably only around sort of 20 to 25 out of 100. So don't
Correct.
get too disheartened if you see a really low score. And in fact, actually, a really low score is quite easy to start increasing. Once you get the higher up the ladder, the more difficult it is to climb. The way the scores are measured. So going from sort of 10 to 20 is achievable. Going from 30 to 40 is actually really difficult, and the higher it goes, the more difficult. So, but as a gauge, as a sort of line in the sand and a bit of a benchmark, it's a brilliant tool that we probably do forget about. But it's a nice little, I like it. Good benchmark. Let's move on to our final segment, which is the website call to action.
So this is about the one change, the one adjustment that can make, obviously, your website perform better for you and for you to enjoy running your website even more. So Jonny Ross, what is your call to action?
Well, interestingly, you brought up newsletters only a few moments ago, and email is becoming more and more difficult. I mean, our inboxes are just flooded, aren't they? And because of that, spam filters are becoming more difficult, but also you've got the likes of Google sort of segmenting your email into primary, into if it can spot a newsletter, it's going to grab it and put it into promotional, isn't it? So how can we increase the chance of your email being seen and being opened? And that's one of the one little call to action I'd like to give you. And it's a bit it was something that I saw in a newsletter that I received. It's a really clever idea. So if you can get people to reply to your newsletter, that sends a huge signal to the likes of Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, all the big email providers, that people are engaged with you and that people are interested in your content if you can get someone to reply. So how can you get someone to reply? So I saw it was just a paragraph. I thought it was really clever, and it said simply, to make sure our newsletters reach you without any issues, reply AI to this email so that we know that you're human, and be sure to move this email to your primary inbox. Now, if you could get your subscribers to reply, first of all, and secondly, to perform the action of moving your email into the primary inbox, that sends two huge signals to the email providers that people are interested in your emails, and that can have a huge effect on email deliverability, therefore open rates, therefore click-throughs, and therefore the bottom line. And it's as simple as trying to be quite clever in terms of getting someone to reply. So what's quirky, what's clever that you could use with your audience to give them a tiny little thing that says, look, I just want to check that you're human. Any chance you could just reply and then some kind of quirky keyword, and that would be my challenge to you, my little call to action. That's going to have a big impact on your deliverability.
Super. Thank you very much. I know, how passionate you're about good, email marketing practices as well. So I wanted to go back to my reference to the Google CV throughout this episode and actually explain to people what it means by that. And actually, I would go as far as saying it's going to become your search CV. So you can do this activity on ChatGPT, you can do it on Perplexity, on Claude, and that kind of things. But what I want you to do is essentially do it three ways. Use an individual and understand what the search is saying about you. So if we use Google as an example, I would go on the all section. Well, this is the first one you get. And then literally, if you click on the three dots at the top right-hand corner, you can print as a PDF and save that. And that's your kind of snapshot. And then I would go on images. I would go on news, and maybe any others that if you are very active online on YouTube, you can do videos. But what you'll understand is not just obviously what is displayed, Jonny, but reflect why is it that this particular search result has been displayed here, and logic is going to actually guide you. You don't have to be an SEO expert to understand that, I see, because I was a guest or I contributed to this newspaper, of course this is now listed ahead of my own website, and I would give you everything you need to know about citations. So I would do it with your name as an individual. I would do it with your name and your occupation. That's version 2. And I would do it with just your business name, because these are the three ways people will look for you. Now, people say, hang on, Pascal, there's a fourth way, which is where they just look for my services. They don't know my name. They don't know my business name and so on. I say, I agree, but I'm talking about foundation building here, Jonny. If you're not even happy today about the way you're being displayed as a named individual, name individual plus occupation, or as a business name, then frankly, the other stuff, which is essentially to be displayed just on the basis of your services, just won't work for you, because that is the correlation we're looking for. So building foundation for a broader, not named search, if you will, is part of it. So work on your Google CV, understand where you stand today, use logic to then make some modification, which is probably, for all of us, more guest contribution.
Yep. A bit of brand reputation management, isn't it, as well? So Google those three things that Pascal was mentioning. Take a snapshot, and I agree. You don't need to be an expert in SEO to start understanding what needs fixing and what needs changing. And we're basically telling you to dominate that first page with some clever tactics. Well, what another great call to action and a great episode. We've covered well, it's been quite AI heavy, but also Google CV heavy as well. So, think about your privacy settings, but don't overthink it. So worry when you need to worry, but don't over worry, and make sure you've got your settings right, and if you are worried, use a private cloud environment. So something like Copilot or something like Notebook LM. We've talked about how to increase your AI visibility in tools with the great YouTube video that Neil Patel did, and a couple of great techniques in the website engine room from the Shopify Loomwork app for subscriptions, and of course the good old Moz domain authority checker, and a couple of great call to actions. Thank you, Pascal, for a delightful 54th episode.
Yes, it was lovely to reflect and relate it to our lived-in experience of hosting the masterclass in Leeds. I hope that we get the chance to do it again, because it's all part of the Web Proud movement. We'd like this year really to be the year where people feel proud of their website again.
For sure. That is a wrap of episode 54 of the 90-Day Website Mastery Podcast, your audio companion to the 90-Day Website Mastery Program. Thank you so much for joining, whether it was live on LinkedIn or YouTube, or whether you're catching us up on the replay, whether that be a video or whether that be audio and we're in your ears right now. Thank you for allowing us to. And please give us feedback. Reach out to us on social, but also perhaps leave us a review on Apple Podcast. That would mean so much to us. For more information, visit 90daymarketingmastery.com, where you can book a discovery call with either myself or Pascal. It's goodbye for now. We'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage to enjoy whilst you review your notes and actions. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.